Hi, I'm Madame Pamita, and I love teaching about magic. If you have a question about spells, the law of attraction, spirituality, witchcraft, Slavic folk magic, spirits, divination, you can join me on Sundays at the Live Magic Q&A where we record an episode of my podcast, Magic and the Law of Attraction, and then I answer your questions on anything mystical or magical live over Zoom. Just go to spellsquad.com to get the link to join me in the clubhouse. And don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and click the bell icon so you get a gentle, magical reminder and you'll be the first witch to see whenever anything new goes up. Here's a great tidbit from one of our past Q&As answering a really important spiritual question.
Victoria asked the question, Madame Pamita, would you suggest if spiritual oil doesn't, what would you suggest if spiritual oil doesn't bring any result for your spell? It's a great question, Victoria. I love this question, actually. What happens if my spell falls flat? What if it doesn't work? What if my spell didn't produce a result? Okay, there's a couple of things that this brings into play. When should we expect a result from our spell, and what are we expecting, right? So with a spell, there's certain things, certainly with different spell work, you're gonna have different, kind of measurements or benchmarks, I would say. But with a candle spell, I was taught this amazing way to do timing. So before I learned this way, this is how I would do a spell. I would do a spell and I would just expect the result and I wouldn't worry about whether it happened quickly or not. If it didn't happen quickly, I might do another little piece of magic or do something else to help the spell along. But in reality, I wouldn't worry too much about like the timing of it. I would do a spell for something and say, it's working. I trust it. It's working. And it would come in the perfect outcome and perfect timing. That's the way I work. However, there's a great method because not everybody can have that sort of patience or that trust in their spell work. We do, especially if we're new to doing spell work, we might not trust our spell work or we might need to see some confirmation. And the way I was taught was to look for these markers, these sort of signposts along the way, if you would. These are beautiful ways to sort of see if your spell is working and to get confirmation that your spell is working. And that is messages, movement, and manifestation. So when you complete your candle spell, there's a start and a finish. Not every spell has a start and a finish, right? But a candle spell has a start and a finish. And when the candle has burned completely, that's when your spell really takes off and really begins. So it's not like sometimes we see a result while the candle is burning. That sometimes happens. Sometimes I see things where someone gets the candle spell and things already start happening because they're already thinking about the intention or working on that intention. But the candle spell is there to support the intention. And when our candle spell is complete, then we see the result, right? So if you did a candle spell and you did it, you completed it, and now you're wanting to know if your candle spell worked. Within a few days of your candle spell completing, you should see some message from the universe. A message from the universe is going to be like a synchronicity, something popping up into your awareness that's giving you a confirmation. Could be hearing a song on the radio, seeing a repeating number, seeing an unusual animal, hearing words or a name or something like that in random conversation. It can be a lot of different things. It's nothing that is particularly attached to your spell, but it's just a confirmation of your spell, right? Movement is the next step that we're looking for. Movement should happen within a few weeks. When I say within, it could happen anywhere from day one of your candle spell completing all the way up to 3 or 4 weeks, right? So within a few weeks of your candle spell completing, you should see some movement. Let's say I did a spell to get a job, for example. A job would be like, maybe my message would be, I would see the name of that business somewhere random, or I'd hear something, I'd hear the song Get a Job, or whatever. I'd hear something would happen to give me a sign from the universe that that's happening. But the movement would be actually something moving in the direction of that. And if I were applying for a job, that might be that I get called back or someone sends me an email or sets up an interview. It doesn't mean that the job is gotten, that I haven't gotten the job, but I have moved in that direction, right? So that's a positive sign. the final culmination, the manifestation of your spell might take anywhere from 1 day to 3 months, 4 months. It might take a while, depending on how tricky your situation is or what has to line up for that, right? So we don't want to get too impatient with our spell work. Like, we light the candle and like, where's my goodies? Where's my stuff? We want to be patient with our spell work. We want to send it out there and then see the resulting manifestation. All right. So that manifestation is the culmination. I do get the job. I do get the perfect job, and it comes in perfect timing. So that's an example of looking for movement, sorry, messages, movement, and then manifestation. All right. Now you're asking not about a candle spell. You're asking about oils. What happens if we don't see a result from an oil? So if you're just working with an oil on your body, for example, that's ongoing work. So we're not going to be necessarily looking for messages, movement, manifestation, because we're not having a start and a finish. If you do the oil once and you don't see a result, then I would say the recommendation would be maybe you need to do it every day. If you still aren't seeing a result from your spell work, and there is something about oils that is like, oh, you're moving toward a result. If you're not seeing any movement, you're not getting any messages, it just isn't working. Then what I recommend is doing something that's going to support you having a change of some kind. It could be energetic purification oil to clean up a situation that's very messy. It could be open roads oil to remove any barriers or push aside any barriers. Or it could be as extreme as blockbuster or banishing, where you need to do some very hard work to get rid of the blocks or barriers that are preventing you from getting your goals. Now, it could be something else, right? Maybe you're doing oil work and you need to be doing something other than working with an oil. Maybe it's not, if you're doing a spell to make someone fall in love with you and you're putting the oil on yourself and they're not coming toward you, then maybe you need to do something on them that's a little more coercive or a little stronger if it's in alignment with your spiritual practice. So I would say my recommendation is this: try an oil that's going to clean things up, and then try your oil that you're working with and see if that works. If that doesn't work, check and see if with your spell, you need to have something other than oils that you're working with. Are you working with a poppet? Are you working with a candle? Are you working with something else? Try a different approach. See and do some, looking within yourself and see if there's something that needs to be addressed before this manifestation can come, right? So for example, I'm going to give a little example. Let's say you're doing a spell to get a job, and you keep going on interviews and keep not getting hired. Okay, then in that case, I would recommend doing some, open roads work, either working with an oil or working with a candle, and do some open roads work. But maybe if you do some reflection, you see that the issue isn't really the job, but maybe there's something within you that needs to shift, maybe more confidence, right? Having more confidence so that you walk into an interview and you present very confidently and you feel like you're the right person for the job, and then you present better. So you have to do some reflection work. And if you really are stuck and don't know why it's happening, then you can get a reading and see if there's some issue that you can't see. So I'd see if you see some issues, try different kinds of working, try different oils, and then go back to the one and see if you get a different result, right? Don't do the same thing and expect a different result. Change something, right? That definition of insanity: keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, right? We don't want to do that. So try something different. Do some cleanup work, try some different kind of spell work, and see if that helps. All right.